So Bo Nickel has been receiving a lot of backlash and criticism after his performance at UFC 309. Is it warranted? Yes. Has Bo Nickel been officially fraud checked? No. Keep in mind, he won the fight. He beat Paul Craig. It may have been by the skin of his teeth, but he did beat Paul Craig. A win is a win, a W is a W, and it's an added one to the win column. That being said, Bo's performance was worrying. And it wasn't his physical performance. Like I just said, he beat Paul Craig. It was his mental performance that is most worrying for Bo fans and MMA fans who want to see Bo succeed. It's worrying because Bo's mental performance was poor. He adjusted what he's known for Paul Craig. It shows that his mind and his mental, his fight IQ is susceptible to the things going on around him. Because he spent an entire fight with Paul Craig utilizing a method that is still kind of alien to him. You know, Bo is still trying to figure out striking. It's no easy task. I'm not saying it is, but it's still something it takes time to cultivate and become good at. So, you know, while you're still building that, you should still be somewhat leaning on what you're already pretty naturally good at, which is his wrestling. And I know that Paul Craig is great off his back, and that's why Bo Nickel shifted everything and came out there with a totally different game plan that has nothing to do with what he's known for or good at. But nevertheless, you know, it still shows a form of weakness. It really does. Because you can add things to your arsenal. There's nothing wrong with adding things to your arsenal. You may be, you know, a great wrestler, and then you decide to strike, or you decide to learn striking or add a good sense of striking to your arsenal so you come out in the next fight and utilize the striking. But in that same decision, you shouldn't abandon what you already know and are good at. You know, it's one thing if you're a striker that doesn't know how to wrestle or grapple, so you try to keep the fight on the feet. But it's another thing if you are a excellent wrestler and an okay striker, but decide to fight a full fight on the feet instead of just even trying once to bring it to the ground and see what you can do there, because you already know that you're great there. So hopefully you get my point with what I'm trying to say. Bo Nickel has shown weakness, and it's not an extreme thing. Like I said, he hasn't been fraud checked. He hasn't been flatline KO'd and his whole future is gone like that. It's none of that. But it's still cracks in the shell. It's chinks in the armor. You know, it's a clue and a blueprint for Bo's future opponents, especially the upper echelon of the middleweight division. You know, they can take notes on this. Bo's mind is susceptible to, you know, the talk and the word through the grapevine and the reputation and everything like that, you know? So what does that mean when Bo goes against an Israel Adesanya or a Dricus du Plessis or even a Khamzat Chimaev? Will Bo decide not to wrestle Khamzat and just try his luck on the feet? I doubt it. But this shows signs, and they're worrying signs, they're troubling signs, and they're frustrating signs for Bo fans especially. But nevertheless, I still think Bo has a great future. I think he's incredibly teachable, and I think, you know, he's being too pressured right now. I feel like a lot of people are holding him to the standard that he hasn't even reached yet. He did knock out Val Woodburn really early, and that's why I had such a belief in his striking, and that's why I thought he'd bring a great sense of that and likely knock Paul Craig out early. But we have to also realize Val Woodburn is a pretty shit fighter, and he's shown that recently. So knocking out Val Woodburn in the first round doesn't really seem as that high of an accomplishment anymore, you know. But that being said, Bo Nickel is absolutely still a threat, still a rising star, and very dangerous. You know, I think what just needs correction is where he is placing his faith in his coaching team and his coaching staff, and where he's placing faith in himself, really. You know, because if you're going against a Khamzat Chimaev, you don't go into a Khamzat Chimaev fight, you know, indecisive or worried about what you might do or what he might do. You got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to go balls to the wall. You got to say fuck it, and let the chips fall where they may. With a guy like Khamzat, because that's a straight up killer, and he's gonna sense whether or not you're scared and sure of yourself. And if you come in not using what you're good at, not even once, he's gonna read you and see that he's already in your fucking mental headspace without even having to fight you. So there's worrying things about Bo Nickel that I hope we see a correction toward, is all. So yeah, I think Bo Nickel does great in the future. I really do. I think all hope is not lost. He's doing well. Like I said, a win is a win. While it is a complicated win that poses questions, it's still a victory. It's still, like I said, an added one to the win column. So years from now, it's just another one to a sum of numbers that, you know, equate to a good, okay, or poor UFC career. So let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next.